Celtics. Efficiency's been their biggest weakness this season, and it's pretty clear when you look at the numbers. Their field goal percentage ranks 12th, which is surprising for a team that has so much scoring power. They take a ton of three-pointers, but their accuracy ranks 14th. When those shots aren't falling, it really hurts their offense. On top of that, their turnover rates slipped compared to last year, with the bench shooting worse, which creates more wasted possessions. Inside the paint, they struggle to score at a high level, and they give up over 48 points per game there too. They aren't drawing many fouls either, ranking 19th in free throw attempts, which limits easy points. Defensively, they're allowing too many fast break points, and their transition defense needs to improve. Their overall defensive ratings dropped from second last year to 10th now. Combine all that with their bench scoring less efficiently, and you get their biggest weakness: efficiency. Mavericks. The trade. Trading a 25-year-old superstar like Luka made zero sense. He didn't ask out, and there were no rumors. The Mavericks sent him to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. It was a head-scratcher. Luka just led them to the finals last year, and they flipped him for a 31-year-old big man with a long injury history. The timing was wild, and there was no clear plan. After the trade, everything went downhill fast. Davis got hurt in his debut, leaving in the third quarter with a left adductor strain. He hasn't played since. Then Kyrie tore his ACL, ending his season after just one more game. The depth's fallen apart. Meanwhile, Luka's thriving in Los Angeles. While Dallas slipped to 10th in the West, the gamble backfired, leaving Dallas with no stars, no direction, and a shattered roster. Lakers. The Denver Nuggets have been their biggest weakness, and it shows every time they face off. In the 2023 Western Conference Finals, Denver swept them 4-0. Nikola Jokic dominated that entire series, averaging nearly 28 points, 14 rebounds, and almost 12 assists. He won the Western Conference Finals MVP, and it was well-deserved. Then, in the 2024 playoffs, it happened again. Denver beat them 4-1 in the first round. Jokic had another triple-double in Game 2 with 27 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. Jamal Murray hit the game winner in Game 5 to finish the series. The Lakers just have no answer for this team. Even in the regular season this year, they've struggled, splitting games, but getting outscored overall. Denver's offense been on another level, averaging 120.8 points this season, compared to the Lakers' 112.8. Denver's been their biggest hurdle. Warriors. Their biggest weakness has been the lack of a consistent center for over a decade. It's been a revolving door at that position, and it's hurt them in huge moments. Back in the early 2010s, they had David Lee playing out of position at center, and his defense just wasn't enough. Then came Andrew Bogut, who anchored their defense, but couldn't stay healthy. His injury in 2016 hurt them badly in the finals, where they got dominated on the board. After Bogut left, they cycled through guys like Zaza, JaVale McGee, and Looney. None were long-term solutions. They tried drafting James Wiseman second overall, but that didn't work either. He barely played and was eventually traded. Looney's solid but limited, and his injuries pop up too often. Trace Jackson Davis promising, but he's not there yet. This season, they're relying on Looney, Jackson Davis, and Quentin Post, who hasn't made much of an impact. They rank 18th in paint points allowed and 15th in rebounds per game. It's clear they need a real answer at center. Their small ball styles worked at times, but without a reliable big man, they've struggled against physical teams in key playoff series. Sixers. Joel Embiid's health's been their biggest weakness over the past 5 years. Every season, it's the same story. He puts up MVP numbers when he's on the floor, but struggles to stay there. In 2021, he missed 21 games with knee and face injuries. In 2022, he played more games, but a torn thumb ligament and a broken orbital bone wrecked his playoffs. Then, in 2023, he won MVP, but sprained his knee and wasn't the same in their second-round loss to Boston. In 2024, he tore his meniscus, played only 39 games, and was hobbled in a first-round exit to the Knicks. This season, it's been worse. Embiid played just 19 games before shutting it down with more knee problems. Without him, the Sixers are 23-39. With him healthy, they're a top 4 team. Without him, they collapse. His absences have hurt their defense, their rebounding, and their scoring. No other centers come close to filling his shoes. The failed Big Three experiment with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey only made things worse. It all comes back to Embiid's health. Knicks. Defense has been their biggest weakness during the 2025 season. They came into the year with high expectations, especially after adding Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. But their defensive ratings dropped from 108.8 last season to 110.4, ranking just 10th in the league. They were expected to be first. Without Mitchell Robinson for 50 games due to ankle surgery, they struggled in the paint. giving up 49.3 points per game, ranked 24th. Even with Robinson back, they haven't returned to last year's elite level. Opponents are shooting 64.1% at the rim, which is a big drop from last year. On the perimeter, teams are hitting 36.8% of their three-pointers against them, and they're allowing over 13 made threes per game. Brunson and Towns are frequently targeted in pick and rolls, which exposes their rotations. Transition defense is also a problem, giving up almost 15 fast break points a night. Despite their strong record at 42-23, their defense is no longer elite. Without major improvement, this weakness could cost them in the playoffs. Thunder. Their biggest weakness right now is the lack of veteran experience. Sure, they've got one of the best records in the league at 58-12, but when you look at their roster, it's mostly young guys carrying the load. SGA is 26, Jalen Williams 24, and Chet Holmgren's only 23. Even Lou Dort and Ousmane Dieng are under 27. Outside of Alex Caruso, who's 31, and Isaiah Hartenstein, who's 27, there's not much veteran present. Last year's playoffs proved this could be a problem. They were the top seed, but got bounced in the second round by Dallas. Analysts pointed out that their lack of experience in tight, high-pressure games was a big reason why. Regular season wins are great, but the postseason is a different world. Teams like the Miami Heat in 2023 and Boston Celtics in 2022 had veterans like Kevin Love and Al Horford to steady the ship. The Thunder are still figuring that part out. Caruso helps on defense and leadership, but they could use more experienced voices to guide them when the stakes are the highest. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to start posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Cavaliers, the Golden State Warriors, have been their biggest weakness over the past decade. Between 2015 and 2018, the Warriors were a nightmare for Cleveland. In the 2015 finals, the Cavaliers lost 4-2. Kyrie and Kevin Love were both out, and even though LeBron James averaged 35.8 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 8.8 assists, they couldn't overcome the Warriors' depth. In 2016, Cleveland pulled off the historic comeback, winning 4-3 after being down 3-1. LeBron and Kyrie delivered legendary performances, but it was the only time Cleveland got past them. In 2017, Kevin Durant joined Golden State, and they crushed the Cavaliers 4-1. Durant averaged 35.2 points and won Finals MVP. Then in 2018, it was a sweep. Durant won Finals MVP again, and Cleveland was outmatched. After LeBron left in 2018, the Cavaliers struggled, while the Warriors kept dominating their matchups. But in the 2024 season, Cleveland started strong, going 15-0. On November 8th, they beat Golden State 136-117. Still, the Warriors remain their toughest challenge. Rockets. Yao Ming's injuries have been their biggest weakness during his time in Houston. Hear me out. Early on, things looked great. In his first 3 seasons from 2002 to 2005, he missed only 2 games and showed incredible durability for a player his size. But by the 2005 season, things started to change. Ming had surgery on his left big toe and missed 21 games. Even when he came back, he still averaged 25.7 points and 11.6 rebounds, proving his talent was never the problem. Then came a right knee fracture in 2006, costing him 32 games. In 2008, he suffered a stress fracture in his left foot. Despite playing 55 games that year, the injuries piled up. The worst blow came in the 2009 playoffs. Ming helped the Rockets reach the second round for the first time since 1997, but he broke his foot against the Lakers and was done for the series. Ming made 8 All-Star teams and 5 All-NBA teams, but his health kept holding the Rockets back. Without his consistent presence, the team struggled to build chemistry or make deep playoff runs. Bulls. The departure of Michael Jordan in 1998 been their biggest weakness ever since. After winning their 6th championship, everything fell apart. Phil Jackson wasn't re-signed, Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman left, and Jordan retired for the second time. That kicked off a brutal stretch. In the shortened 1999 season, they won just 13 games, one of the worst records in franchise history. From 1998 to 2004, they missed the playoffs 6 straight seasons. Draft picks like Elton Brand in 1999 and Tyson Chandler in 2001 brought some hope, but it wasn't enough to turn things around right away. They finally made the playoffs in 2005, led by young talent, and the Derrick Rose era brought real excitement. Rose won MVP in 2011, but injuries crushed their title chances. Since 2015, they've been stuck in mediocrity, making just a few playoff appearances and often exiting early. They sit at 30-40, sitting 10th in the East. Even with all the struggles, the Bulls remain one of the most recognizable franchises worldwide. Timberwolves, their biggest weakness over the past decades, been finding a consistent point guard. It started when Ricky Rubio arrived in 2011, offering hope, but injuries and his trade in 2017 ended that. After Rubio, they struggled. Chris Dunn and Tyus Jones never developed, and Jeff Teague, while steady at times, was inconsistent. Then came D'Angelo Russell, who brought scoring but lacked efficiency and defense. They finally added Mike Conley in 2023, and he helped steady the team, leading them to a 56-26 season. But Conley's now 37 and showing signs of decline, averaging just 10 points and under 5 assists this season. Monte Morris was supposed to help, but injuries have limited him. They drafted Rob Dillingham, but he's still a project. Without a real floor general, they rely heavily on Anthony Edwards, who's more of a scorer than a true playmaker. Their late-game offense suffers, ranking 15th in fourth quarter scoring. Conley's age and lack of future options at the position leave them vulnerable. Despite their strong record, the absence of a reliable point guard's capped their potential, making it their biggest weakness heading into the playoffs. Grizzlies. Finishing the job's been their biggest weakness, both during the grit and grind era and now in the Morant era. Between 2010 and 2017, they made 7 straight playoff runs but never reached the NBA Final. In 2013, they made the Western Conference Finals but got swept by the Spurs. Their tough defense and inside game worked in the regular season, but they lacked the offensive firepower to keep up with modern teams. They never ranked higher than 29th in three-pointers made during that stretch. Injuries to Mike Conley and Marc Gasol, plus missing out on trades for scorers, left them one step short. Now with Morant, they're back in the same spot. They won 56 games in 2022. Injuries to Morant and Desmond Bane, plus shaky clutch play, have been huge problems. They're still hunting their first NBA Finals trip. Each era has built tough teams, but against elite competition, they've fallen flat. Memphis is close again, but history says close might not be enough. Nuggets. Their biggest weakness this season has been the bench. They are averaging just 27.4 points per game, which ranks 26 in the league. When Nikola Jokic sits, they are outscored by 8.2 points per 100 possessions. That is a huge problem. Last year, they had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown coming off the bench, but both are gone now. Their replacements have not made up the difference. The second unit also struggles to defend the three-point line, allowing opponents to shoot 38% from deep. Their defensive rebounding is also bad, ranking near the bottom of the league. Against top teams like the Heat and Cavaliers, the bench has been exposed. Even with Jokic playing at an MVP level, the bench's lack of scoring and defense has hurt them. Without more consistency from the second unit, this weakness could be the reason they fall short in the playoffs. Clippers. Their biggest weakness this season is not having a prime star to lead them. At 33 years old, his days as a two-way superstar seem behind him. James Harden is still putting up 22 points and almost 9 assists. But at 35, he is not the same scorer he was back in his Houston days. His shooting is less efficient, and his defense has slipped. Paul George left for Philadelphia, and the team has no young player ready to take over. Norman Powell leads them in scoring with 22 points, but he is better suited as a supporting piece, not a franchise player. Without a go-to superstar in his prime, they struggle in clutch moments. Their offensive rating in close games ranks 21st, and Harden's shooting falls apart late in games. Defensively, without Kawhi, they have dropped to the middle of the pack. Heat. Their biggest weakness has been not having a true one, A-star since trading Jimmy Butler. After leading Miami to 2 NBA Finals and 3 Eastern Conference Finals from 2020 through 2023, Butler was the clear franchise player. But on February 5th, 2025, the Heat traded him to the Warriors. Since then, they have lacked a top-tier superstar. Tyler Hero has stepped up, averaging 23.8 points per game, but he isn't on the level of Butler in his prime. Bam Adebayo adds 19.2 points and 10 rebounds, but has never been a true number one option. Without Butler, Miami has struggled to stay consistent. Before the trade, they were 25-24, but most of their wins came against weaker teams. Against top competition, they are 4-5 since the day. They're stuck in the Eastern Conference play-in race. Without a 1A star to lead them in close games and playoff runs, the Heat's ceiling is lower than it has been in years. Pistons. Their biggest weakness has been how bad they've been since 2009. After making the playoffs every year from 2002 through 2008, they completely fell apart. From 2009 to 2023, they missed the playoffs in 12 out of 14 seasons. In that stretch, they only had 2 winning seasons. In 2015, they went 44-38, but lost in the first round. They made it again in 2018 with a 41-41 record, but once again, they were bounced right away. Most seasons, they were not even close to competitive. They won less than 30 games 10 times over those 15 years. The 2022 season was especially rough. They went 17-65, the worst record in the league. Year after year, they cycled through coaches, young players, and different strategies, but never found success. Finally, in 2024, they turned things around. They are 39-32. Cade Cunningham has brought hope back to Detroit, but their struggles over the past 15 years remain their biggest weakness. Magic. Their biggest weakness this season's been shooting. Despite their strong defense and improved record, they remain one of the worst shooting teams in the league. They rank dead last in three-point percentage at 31.5%. and 28th in makes with just 11.8 per game. Key players like Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner struggled with consistency from deep, shooting 38.1% and 33.2% respectively. Their big free agent signing, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, has been a disappointment, shooting just 32% from 3. Even at the free throw line, they rank near the bottom of the league, shooting 74.8%. These shooting woes have limited their offensive ceiling. Their offensive rating sits at 112.9, only 17th in the league, despite a 41-22 record. In clutch situations and against elite teams, their inability to hit shots has cost them games, like a 40-point loss to Cleveland. Until they improve their shooting, the Magic ceiling remains capped, no matter how strong their defense is. Bucks, their biggest weakness this season's been everybody but Giannis or Damian Lillard. Giannis averaging 30.8 points, and Lillard's putting up 25.8. Together, they account for almost half of Milwaukee's offense. The problem? No one else. Brook Lopez is 36 years old and slowing down, while Bobby Portis leads a bench that ranks only 22nd in scoring. Without Giannis and Lillard carrying the load, the Bucks struggle mightily. In games where they combined for fewer than 50 points, Milwaukee's just 2-5. Their defense, once elite, slipped to middle of the pack, especially without Jrue Holiday's old perimeter presence. Age and injuries are concerns too, and there's little depth behind Lopez at center. Milwaukee sits 6th in the Eastern Conference with a record of 36 wins and 27 losses. Without better support, Giannis and Lillard can't carry them past true contenders, making their shallow supporting cast the Bucks' biggest weakness. Pacers. Their biggest weakness this season's been inconsistency. They've got a record of 35 wins and 28 losses, sitting 6th in the Eastern Conference. But that record masks how up and down they've been. On offense, they average 116.2 points per game, but they've scored under 111 times and over 125 14 times. Their three-point shooting swings wildly, hitting over 40% some nights and below 20% others. Tyrese Halliburton's plays mirrored the team. He's averaging 18.5 points and 9 assists, but his shooting percentages are down from last year, and he's missed games with back injuries. On defense, they've improved from last season, but they still allow too many points on bad nights. They rank 25th in total rebounds and often give up second chance points. Against good teams, they're inconsistent, sometimes winning close games and other times losing by huge margins. Without steady contributions from their stars and bench, and with injuries piling up, inconsistencies been the Pacers' biggest weakness. Hornets. Their biggest weakness is their inability to make the playoffs. They've missed the playoffs for 8 straight seasons. Since the 2016 to 2017 season, the Hornets have failed to advance past the regular season, finishing with a losing record in 7 of those 8 years. They came close in 2 seasons, losing in the play-in tournament in both 2021 and 2022. The rest of the time, they haven't even been competitive. In that stretch, they've won fewer than 30 games in 4 different seasons. Last season, they finished with a 27-55 record. This year's been even worse. Again, they're near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Despite having young talent like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, the Hornets haven't been able to build a team capable of reaching the postseason. Their long playoff drought become their biggest weakness, holding them back from gaining valuable experience and competing for anything meaningful. Kings, their biggest weakness in franchise histories, failing to win a championship. During their peak in the early 2000s, from 2000 to 2004, the Sacramento Kings were one of the best teams in the NBA. In 2002, they finished with 61 wins and had the top record in the league. Their roster included stars like Chris Webber, Peja, Mike Bibby, Divac, and Doug Christie. Despite their talent, they never reached the NBA Final. The biggest missed opportunity came in the 2002 Western Conference Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Kings led the series 3-2, but lost Game 6 in a highly controversial matchup. The Lakers attempted 27 free throws in the fourth quarter alone, sparking allegations of biased officiating. The Kings then lost Game 7 in overtime. Years later, referee Tim Donaghy claimed the game was manipulated to force a 7th game. After that heartbreaking loss, Sacramento never got closer to a title. Injuries and roster changes led to their decline. Despite having a championship-caliber team, the Kings' inability to finish the job remains the biggest weakness in their franchise history. Suns. Their biggest weakness has always been not getting it done in the playoffs. Whether it was the Steve Nash era or the Chris Paul era, they always fell short of winning the NBA championship. In the 2005 season, the Suns won 62 games, but lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Spurs. In 2006, they lost to the Mavericks. In 2007, they were beaten by the Spurs again after the controversial suspensions of Amari and Boris Diaw. They had one of the best offenses in NBA history, but couldn't defend well enough to win a title. Years later, in 2021, Chris Paul arrived and led them to the NBA Finals. They took a 2-0 lead over the Bucks, but lost 4 straight and missed their chance. After that, they won 64 games in 2022, but lost in the second round to Dallas. In 2023, they lost in the first round. Over and over, injuries, defensive issues, and tough opponents stopped them. They're still searching for their first NBA team. Not finishing the job's always been their biggest weakness. Spurs, their biggest weakness, this season's father time. Right now, their franchise is caught between having a young superstar in Victor Wembanyama and an aging veteran in Chris Paul. Wembanyama's just 21 years old, showing flashes of greatness with 24 points, 11 rebounds, and nearly 4 blocks per game. But he's also raw, with almost 4 turnovers a night. To make matters worse, he's out for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. On the other end, Chris Paul's 39 years old. He averages 9 points and 8 assists, but's nowhere near his prime days. His defense has declined, and his minutes are limited. The Spurs roster's a mix of young players like Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell, who are still developing, and older guys like Paul and Harrison Barnes, who are past their peak. Without Wemby, the team struggled to stay competitive, sitting 11th in the West with a 23-29 record. Father Time's left them without a clear identity. They're too young to win now and too old to rebuild fully, making age their biggest weakness. Hawks. Their biggest weakness has been not reaching the NBA Finals since moving to Atlanta in 1968. Before that, they were the St. Louis Hawks and made the finals 4 times, winning the NBA championship in 1958. But since relocating, they've never gotten back. They came close twice. In the 2015 season, they won 60 games and got the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but got swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference finals. Then in 2021, they surprised the league by making the conference finals again. Led by Trae Young, they pushed the Milwaukee Bucks to 6 games, but lost, and the Bucks went on to win the title. Over the years, the Hawks have faced tough competition in the East from teams like the Celtics, Pistons, Heat, Bulls, and Cavaliers. They also struggled with coaching changes, roster turnover, and failed draft picks that slowed their progress. Their biggest hopes, Zachary Richache, who they drafted first overall in 2024. Until they break through, not making the finals since 1968 remains their biggest weakness. Raptors. Their biggest weakness has been losing Kawhi Leonard after winning the championship in 2019. Kawhi was the finals MVP and the best player on the team. After leading Toronto to their first title, he left in free agency to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. His departure ended any chance of the Raptors building a dynasty. They still had a strong core with Pascal, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and OG, but they were missing a true number 1 star. In the 2020 season, they finished with 53 wins and reached the Eastern Conference semifinals before losing to Boston in 7 games. After that, things got worse. The Raptors missed the playoffs in 2021, finishing with just 27 wins. They faced injuries, COVID issues, and had to play in Tampa. Meanwhile, Kawhi's dealt with his own injury problems in Los Angeles. But for the Raptors, losing their best player right after a championship completely changed their future. If Kawhi stayed, they might have won another title. Instead, his departure remains their biggest weakness of the last few years. Pelicans. Their biggest weakness this season's been injuries. Coming into the year, the team had high expectations after trading for DeJounte Murray to play alongside Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, and Herb Jones. but injuries completely derailed their season. Zion's played in only 24 games because of a hamstring strain, a back injury, and illness. Without him, they've struggled, going 7-17 in games he missed. DeJounte Murray played just 26 games before suffering a season-ending Achilles injury in January. Herb Jones tore his shoulder and has only appeared in 11 games. Brandon Ingram's missed 38 games with a high ankle sprain and was traded to Toronto in March. Trey Murphy missed 23 games with a hamstring injury and recently tore his labrum. Even CJ McCollum missed time earlier in the year. All these injuries have left the Pelicans without their best players for most of the season. They're 18-51, already eliminated from playoff contention. Injuries have kept the Pelicans from competing and are their biggest weakness this season. Jazz, their biggest weakness this season's not having an identity. Swing, they're 15-53, sitting at the bottom of the Western Conference. Their offense is average, scoring 112.8 points per game, ranked 20th in the league. Their defense is just as shaky, giving up 114.2 points per game, ranked 18th. They're not known for playing fast or slow, aggressive or conservative. They don't have a clear playing style like other teams. Lauri's their best player, averaging 23.8 points, but he hasn't fully stepped into a franchise player role. Their roster's a mix of veterans like Jordan Clarkson and young players like Keontae George and Isaiah Collier. They haven't committed to rebuilding or competing. Coach Will Hardy focuses on development, but the team's got no clear system or culture. They've lost 10 games in a row and were eliminated from playoff contention weeks ago. Until they find an identity, the Jazz remain a team stuck between direction, lacking the focus to build toward future success. Nets, their biggest weaknesses been the 2013 trade with the Boston Celtics. That deal sent multiple first-round picks and the right to swap another to Boston in exchange for aging veterans. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, and DJ White. Brooklyn was trying to build a championship contender, but the move backfired badly. The Nets won just one playoff series with Garnett and Pierce, and both players were gone after one season. Meanwhile, the Celtics used those picks to draft Jaylen Brown in 2016 and Jason Tatum in 2017. Brown and Tatum have become all-stars and led Boston to multiple Eastern Conference Finals appearances and a ring. For Brooklyn, losing their future draft picks left them with no assets to rebuild. After the trade, the Nets fell into years of mediocrity and struggled to climb back into contention. Even after later acquiring stars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they never fully recovered from the damage. The 2013 trades, still considered one of the worst in NBA history, and remains the biggest weakness in the Nets franchise history because of how badly it hurt their future. Wizards, their biggest weakness, this season's basketball itself. They're 15-54 and have lost 19 games in a row. They've got the worst net rating in the league at -16.1 and rank last in both offensive and defensive rating. Their offense scores only 107.8 points per game, ranked 26th in the NBA. Their defense gives up 123.9 points per game, ranked 29th. They can't shoot, pass, rebound, or defend. Jordan Poole averages 20.2 points, but shoots only 41.8% from the field with 3.2 turnovers per game. Their rookies, including Alex Sarr and Bub Carrington, struggled to adjust, and the team's got no clear direction or identity. They haven't beaten a single team with a winning record this year. As of now, they're on pace for one of the worst seasons in NBA history. Blazers, their biggest weakness was not winning a ring with Damian Lillard. Lillard played 11 seasons in Portland, made 7 All-Star teams, and led them to the Western Conference Finals in 2019, but they never won a championship. After years of trying and failing to build a true contender around him, the Blazers traded Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks in 2023. His exit marked the end of an era. The team's best chance to win a title since Clyde Drexler in the early 1990s was gone. Now the Blazers are rebuilding and stuck near the bottom of the Western Conference. Scoot Henderson, who was supposed to replace Lillard as the face of the team. Their veteran, DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant, are expensive, but haven't lifted the team. The Blazers are 18-50, and they've already been eliminated from playoff contention. Fans still talk about what might have happened if they built a better roster around Lillard. Not winning a championship with the greatest player in franchise history remains their biggest weakness today. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.